Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, traders. Can you hear me and see my screen? If you could just type yes in the questions. All right, excellent. All right, thanks, guys. Okay, let's get started. Welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. Risk disclaimer: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, so more information, you can go to bookmap.com. I'll show that in just a minute. And note that the software platform comes along with education. There's a 4-part educational course, and then there are daily webinars at 11 a.m. that support the content in that educational course. So the concept here is you can learn about how to use Bookmap and understand order flow. And then see it every day in the live market. And in the live market, due to our analysis, we start to anticipate future price movement. All right, well, let's jump into bookmap.com and quickly go through it. Okay, if you scroll down, there's an intro video here, information about Bookmap and the platform. There is Bookmap for equities. I'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, and connectivity, I'll stop here. So what is Bookmap first off? We are a visualization software trading platform. Okay, we are not a data provider. So for the data, this is how we connect here. You can see all the different connections that we support, and you can also see some platforms in here. Okay, so Ninja, TTX Trader Pro, and Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation. Okay, we connect via the API of these 3 different platforms, so you have that option. However, we are a platform, so it's easier to just connect simply to CQG, Rhythmic, Gain, IQ Feed, Transact, and then Dev Experts. Now, this Dev Experts is for the NASDAQ total view, which is all US equities. So that's the connection up here that I was just mentioning previously. It's a great data feed, very low latency with full depth of market. All right. Okay, now scroll down a little bit further. Here are the different subscription packages. You can subscribe yearly with a 20% discount or monthly. Okay, and then you see there's digital and global here. So the digital is for digital currencies only. The free version here, it's for just one digital currency. It is live, the data is free, but you only get to access one digital currency at a time. Okay, and you only get basic education and limited support. Okay, the digital plus version here, you get the ability to trade right from the Bookmap chart into the GDAX exchange. You can record and replay all of your data and your trading, and you get up to 20 different instruments. Okay, and you also get the advanced education and full support. Now, the global version, it includes everything in Digital Plus, but it also includes the ability to connect to the futures market and the US equities market. But note, you will need to provide the data for it. Okay, now the Global Plus version, what you get here is everything included in Global with the addition of the add-on indicators, the proprietary indicators we put together. One is the ability to trade right from the chart, okay, the one-click trading. Nice feature because you can see the high liquidity and then front run those orders for guaranteeing or higher probability of getting filled, or hide it behind large liquidity, your stops. Okay, and then our proprietary indicators that we put together, we start to identify specific phenomena in the order flow and specific players in the order flow. So our large lot tracker, for example, it looks at larger players who are holding the majority of the liquidity at specific price levels. There's some imbalance indicators, an iceberg detector, again, larger players using iceberg or hidden orders that don't want to show the amount of liquidity they have in the market. And then a correlation tracker of being able to add different markets to the Bookmap chart. All right, got an error here on Twitter. All right, let's try that again. There we go. Here's our Twitter account at bookmap_pro, all sorts of stuff here. Usually every day there's a couple of different tweets that go out. If you haven't read this interview yet with Walter, real trader here, professional trader, you might want to. It's a pretty nice interview. He's a pretty heavy Bookmap user. And then let's go over to our YouTube page. Okay, here's the home page, and I'm just going to go through that. There's some intro videos here on the home page for those of you who are new. Then there's a list of videos here for features and components. And then these order flow video snippets. Okay, now these go through very specific phenomena in concise videos. And this is the kind of information that we'll cover in the advanced order flow webinars when you subscribe. We just go through it in a lot more detail. Okay, all right, so that's that. And let's jump over here to Bookmap. And we'll look at the S&P E-mini here. And guys, feel free to jump in and ask me any questions. Okay, so what we're going to do here, and the goal of this webinar is to cover the basics here, and then get into some of the details about the platform for sure. Ask away any sort of questions that you have, and then about some of the basic understanding of order flow. We will also cover some of that here as well. Okay, so here's the Bookmap chart, and you can see that there's quite a bit of information here on this chart. Now, it's actually really simple and straightforward. And I'm going to take off, like there's a line here, and I see Cosmin, you're already asking about this line. So if I hover over these areas, you can see exactly what they are. This blue line here is the POC, okay, the point of control, and then the VWAP, the value weighted, I'm sorry, volume weighted average price is the white line. Okay, so we have a historical plot of it. So you can see it's actually working quite nicely here as we bounce off the VWAP and continue to the upside. Anyway, those are some indicators. I'm going to take them off the chart, okay, and we're just going to look at some of the specific, or kind of the meat and potatoes of what Bookmap is showing you here. Okay, we also have a subchart here. That's the cumulative volume delta. Okay, I'm going to close that up as well. All right, so now we're looking at, okay. That's kind of funny, there's something wrong there. All right, so what are we looking at now is there's really only 3 elements on this chart. So for those of you who look at this and think, wow, this is something completely foreign, well, it's actually really straightforward data, okay? And that's the beauty of this platform, is this data is about as objective as you can get, okay? And why is that? Well, because this is truly the market. Like, we're just showing you these 3 elements. One is the historical best bid and offer, okay? It's not aggregated data. Okay, it's not like a candlestick chart that's aggregated within a certain time frame or bar or rotation, whatever it is. Okay, second is the volume, very precise volume, exactly where it traded and how much with these volume dots on that historical best bid and offer. And I'll go through these in detail here. And then the third element is the heat map. Okay, now it's this orange, yellow, blue, white a heat map that you can see. All it is taking the data here from the dome, and then in this window here with the live market, taking the high liquidity here and painting it into a heat map. Okay? And then we just take that data and then we project it on the chart historically. That's it. So what it allows us to do is very easily start to understand the auction. Okay? You can see that 2,700, the figure right here, there's always a lot of high liquidity there. Not always, most of the time. And you can see indeed this time was as well. Came right into it and traded right into it. And you see there's a lot of volume that trade, a lot of action here at this area here. And you can see that we went sideways after that. A lot of traders absorbing, they absorbed that the buyers here, okay? And I'll zoom in here and I'm going to show you some of the details here in just a second. But to clarify this point about these 3 elements and the simplicity of it, I'm going to take off all of this other data here. Okay. All right, so this is a candlestick chart, 5-minute candlestick chart, and that's all we're looking at here. Okay. Now, the candlestick chart here is aggregated data. It's open, high, low, and close of a 5-minute period, and that's the problem. Is because what's inside that candle? What happened within that time frame? We have no idea. Okay. All we know is open, high, low, and close. And we want to know that information. Because look at all these wicks up here. You would start to think, for example, well, especially after this one here, we're going back down to the downside. Well, we're going to look at the order flow, and you're going to see a different outcome based on the order flow that will keep you in that trade instead of going short. Okay? Anyway, to alleviate this problem or find a solution with an aggregated period is to just very simply show historical best bid and offer. Okay? And there you go. All right. And why is this important? Well, it allows you to see the price action within that 5-minute period. Okay. So let's zoom into this area here. Let's zoom into up here that the, well, what was it? The figure here. All right. These microstructural areas. Okay. So what do I mean by that microstructure? Okay. Well, there's a consolidation period down here. It was broken right here. Okay. It was retested here, and it accepted above this microstructure. Okay. And then this structure here. Okay. In a 5-minute period, actually, pretty precise, it was broken, and it was broken here. Okay. And it accepted higher. Okay. And we get our retest right back down to where it initiated the breakout, or we're going to see the volume here in just a second. But anyway, understanding these microstructures is essential. And then understanding the volume that traded within these microstructures is what gives you the insight here. Okay, so that's just the first element. Now the second element is the volume. All right, and let me turn up the volume dots a little bit. So you can see a little bit more clearly. Okay, so now here, this is just utterly typical of what we look for in the order flow. Okay, so on the way down here, you can see that red dots here, kind of pulling this market down, some sideways action. Look at this little retest here. Look at the volume there compared to here. Okay, this is exhausting out. There's no more sellers down here. It doesn't even go one tick lower. Okay, and instead we rotate back up and we find buyers, and these buyers lift the market up out of that range here. We retest it again and look at the sellers down here. So we rotate back again and we find more buyers, and we lift the offer up into these areas here, which is the figure here. Okay, and then we go sideways for a bit. We get a pretty deep pullback. Okay, it didn't just trade to this area here. It went back down to where it kind of broke out. You know, originally where it initiated was down here. Okay, and then at this point it's a little more convoluted. There's you know, buying and selling within this area, but you know, we can see the volume starting to pick up in these areas here, and we do break a new high. Okay, and but we're starting to note that it's not quite like it was, right? But we are breaking new highs. Okay. Anyway, starting to look pretty good over here as we see the volume starting to pick up, and deep pullback again, but more buy volume here. And then it broke up out of this area here, and you can see it's starting to trend. All right. So anyway, it looks like buyers are in control here, and I would anticipate the move back up into this 01 area here. Okay, and we do get that. All right. It did do one more retest here. Anyway, that's the two elements here we're looking at: volume and historical best bid and offer. So now let's take this candlestick chart off, and then just want to note here something about the volume, because just these two elements here in Bookmap, non-aggregated data showing you precise areas where this traded, is a real benefit. You know, I like footprint charts. However, there are two aspects on the footprint chart that I do not like, and I think Bookmap is superior. And it's just not my opinion. It's factual that they obscure some of the data. What data? Well, first off, because it's aggregated, it does not show microstructure, okay? Because it's going to be aggregated within a period. And you won't be able to understand the relationship of volume to that microstructure. And secondly, you're not going to be able to read the speed. Okay, like this move to the upside here happened very, very quickly on a lot of volume. Okay? And so did this move here. It's going to be aggregated again. You'll see it moving in the bar in your footprint chart, but you're not going to be able to see the speed. All right. Anyway, let's zoom into this area because I want to show you just the precision that we're recording. This is a very high performance platform, and we'll bring up the volume dots a little bit more. Okay, so these two elements, what we're looking at here, historical best ask, historical best bid, the green line. Okay, on the best ask, you can see these green dots. These are market buy orders. Okay, it's the aggressor in volume. They crossed the spread. They took liquidity off of the best offer. Now, if you want precise data, you can get it. Like you can hover over these dots, and it tells you precisely date, precise time, what was on the ask here, and the volume. All right, so you can see that this was for volume of 1. Now, what about this big dot over here? All right, well, this was for a volume of 158. Okay, and look at the overall shape of that. It's a pie display of both buying and selling. So what occurred there? Well, there was so much activity that happened so quickly that we have to give you the overall shape of the delta of the volume, and you can see about 3/4 of it is aggressive buying. Now, I'm going to zoom into this area though, and we're going to pull apart the timeline here and start to understand precisely what occurred here at these areas. And here's our answer. Okay? Now we can continue to zoom in here. There's probably more trades within here. Okay, and here you go. Okay, and you can start to understand some of the rhythm to these trades as well, and these clusters and flurries of activity, and start to understand algorithmic data, as well as I mean, you get the very precise output here. Okay, plotted onto the chart. Okay, within the time frame, and that is unique. Other platforms don't offer that, but you know, we don't trade at these low, very, very low time frames unless you're trading algorithmically. And in fact, that's what Bookmap was developed for, was to understand where algos were getting filled. And then we thought this was a pretty good product for retail traders looking on higher time frames. So in order to understand the volume on a higher time frame, when you zoom out, okay, we just visually aggregate all of that volume into a bigger dot. So you can understand the relationship of the dot to the others in terms of their size. Okay. All right. Now that's just two elements here on the chart. Now let's get to that third element, which is the heat map. Okay. And let's just go to the current market and let me explain what it is. Nice breakout here to the upside, anyway, yeah, I can't wait to look at this in the next webinar. All right, so the heat map, okay, well, all it is you know, it's the recording of the dome, as I mentioned before. So to the right of this vertical white line here, okay, is the current market. Okay, current best offers, this red dash line, and the green dash line is the best bid. And you can see this is the last traded volume. Here's our price ladder here. And then this column here, the COB, current order book. This is our dome. All right? These are contracts here at these specific price levels. It's liquidity. Traders lining up to provide liquidity with their limit orders at these specific price levels. They want to be sellers here. And they want to be buyers down here in the depth on the bid. Right? Now, note how these numbers are changing all the time. You know, the information in the current order book is excellent. You know, we can note right away, very high liquidity up here at 05.5. Okay? So pretty aggressive, and that's what we're starting to kind of slow down in front of that high liquidity here. Okay, so where are the buyers now? Okay, we're starting to understand that in the current market, but what we don't understand is when these numbers change, and they change rapidly, liquidity is constantly being added and pulled. We have no reference to those areas. You'd have to remember quite a bit of information here. Were people front running? Were they pulling and adding up higher? Were they getting more aggressive on the bid instead? I mean, there are a lot of questions to answer that the DOM is very difficult. You'd have to remember all of that information. Okay, so we are going to turn on the heat map. Okay, and we're going to show what we do here. We take these areas of high liquidity and we paint them in the heat map. Okay, so 930, and we're trading up right into it right now. We just traded into 05 here, and we're looking to trade into 05.5. This is the highest area in the book. Okay, 969 contracts. Okay, and here's the scale over here. Okay, orange is the highest liquidity, all the way down here to black is the lowest liquidity. Now, how is this going to help you in your trading? Well, we take this data here, okay, and when the numbers change, you'll see the heat map change. And then we record that and plot it on the chart historically. So for example, this area here, this striation here, it was low liquidity. You can see from 463 contracts all the way up to 672. And then they continue to add, and they even bumped it up here as price is coming up, okay, to 800 contracts. This is telling us something. It's telling us that, and then let's zoom in here and we're going to make a distinction. Okay? And a very important distinction is to understand the intent of these traders that are providing this high liquidity. Okay, and here's our 05 area. Okay, now, did they trade? And we can answer this. As price came up into it here, they started to pull some of that liquidity. So it's partially pulled and partially traded here. Okay, so did they truly want to trade though and stay in the book? And the answer is no. Right now we can see a quick test up here into this 05.5. Okay, and look at the story there. Okay, these larger players up here, or the liquidity providers at 05.5, they wanted to trade. Okay, so when you hear people talk about the DOM and that it's really doesn't help you because you don't. Most of these orders are fake anyway. It's just not true. Okay, you can see the distinction, and I just made it between those that are real and stay in the book here, okay, and those that start to pull. Okay, now this one's kind of partially pulled, but you'll see that, and you'll be able to answer the question here of the intent of these traders at these price levels. Did they want to trade in the auction? Right, and so now we know, that's where we can start to understand then. Well, if there's going to be, looks like buyers might be able to step it up, and if they're getting partially filled and they're not taking on these areas up here, okay, well, if they have more buying power, they might be able to come up here. But look what's happening right now. Okay, we can see that they're actually adding in even more liquidity, even more aggressive here. Okay, and what's the reaction to that? We're finding sellers here. Okay, there we go. Now the buyers are taking them on. Okay, so here's that quick move right up into that 05 area. Okay, we've got a nice little battle going on up here at 05. And then we will answer that question again here. They stayed in the book. This is real liquidity. So they're getting filled. Okay, they absorbed a lot of that buying pressure here. All right, and they were also getting aggressive here. Okay, they were starting to move their orders down. And well, we still have some buying pressure, so we'll see if we can get back up here. But we're starting to find sellers though too, as we noted. All right. So anyway, that's just kind of a understanding of liquidity in relationship to volume, and understanding that context is really really critical. And this is what we go through in detail in that advanced order flow webinar. Okay, so we just came in with even more liquidity up here. Look at this, over 1,800 contracts up here. Our large lot tracker is also showing us that it was one trader. Okay, he actually just pulled and added higher now. Okay, but there's still quite a bit of liquidity here. Now it's down to 1,000. and the buyers took them on. So that the reaction to that high liquidity was buyers were interested. All right, so let's see if we can get maybe someone here on the bid to come in and skew the order book and maybe just press them up into this area here of high liquidity. Gary, latest version is for Bookmap 7, I believe it's 24. Okay, I'm looking at I've had it since Friday, so I've only had it for a few days here. This new version that has these volume spheres instead of dots. Okay, you guys will get your hands on it soon. All right, so just kind of still testing a few things. All right, well, I'll leave you with one thing here, something that is important to understand in order flow. Is one of the things that we go through in part 1 of our educational course, and that's understanding book sweeps. And what do I mean? Here's a book sweep right here in front of us. Okay, you see it all the time. And this is how we move from one area, usually how we move from one consolidation area to another. Okay, and let's zoom in here and I'll show you precisely what I mean. Okay, nothing but buying here, pulling that market up another tick. There's a little bit of selling here, but look at the buying. Okay, and look at it compared to the selling here, very, very little. Okay, so there's enough buying to take it one more tick up and trade into this high liquidity here. And there's still just nothing but buying. Okay, a little bit of selling, okay, and then just more buying. And they'll continue to lift the offer because they're taking all of liquidity at one area. And where does price go? It goes to the next price level above it. Okay, and if you take all the liquidity there, where is it going to go? It's going to go to the next one above that. And there's your book sweep. Okay, and why is that critical? Because now we are established in a new trading range, and this product is being evaluated at a higher level. Okay, one of the setups we look for is a return back to where we come from, and looking for a low volume pullback into these areas. This was so aggressive here that we did not get a pullback whatsoever. And this is your deepest pullback here, and here's your new book sweep up here. Okay. Starting to note some selling coming in here though too. Okay. Anyway, I'll leave you guys with that. And if you guys are signed up for the webinar, we'll see you over there. Okay, bye-bye.